I am so ADD and all over the place. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, hello, my name is Kristen. It is so nice to have you here, and if you are not new, thank you so much for coming back and joining me for another video. Today we're going to talk about the books that I read in February, which wasn't as many as I hoped to read and it wasn't as many as I planned on reading, thought I could read, usually read. It just wasn't as good of a reading month for me as far as how many I read. But we're going to quickly go through the books that I wanted to read in February. We're going to run through my February TBR really quick, starting with Reminders of Him. And then we had Addicted to You, the fine print. The Air by Sophie Lark. Chamber of Secrets. After It by Anna Todd. Cheat Day. Finding Cinderella. Electric Idol. And One of Us is Lying. Of those, I think this was everything. I honestly don't remember. I didn't go back and watch my February TBR to remember. But out of those 9 books, I read 3. I read 3 of these books, and that is it. If you watch my March TBR video, you'll get an idea of what ones I did read and which ones I didn't. I actually read 3.5. And we're going to talk about that. Always look up trigger warnings for every book I ever recommend you. Just look them up. Most books have at least one trigger warning. There are hardly any adult or even young adult books that don't have at least one trigger warning. So just always look up a trigger warning before you read a book if you usually have trouble with that kind of thing. The first book I read in February was Finding Cinderella. This is a novella that is in the Hopeless world. It is a part of that series. You could read this as a standalone, technically, but it makes so much more sense if you read Hopeless and Losing Hope. Read Losing Hope too before you read this. And then this connects into All Your Perfects. After All Your Perfects, read Finding Perfect. I gave this 5 stars. It is classic Coho. This was a really fast love story, and most novellas don't have, I've found that a lot of novellas that I read don't have a ton of storyline, and this did. This had so much storyline. You got to know so much about these characters in 130 pages, which is insane. You got to know their story. I'm excited to read All Your Perfects after this. I've heard that it is going to destroy my life, destroy my world, that it's super emotional, so I'm excited to read that. But Finding Cinderella got 5 stars from me. As always, Coho absolutely killed it. So Finding Cinderella is basically, you start with Daniel meeting this girl, and they kind of run into each other in a really weird situation, and they decide that they're going to basically be together for an hour. They're going to pretend that they're in love, and then once that hour's up, it's done. So this girl ends up running off, and he never sees her again. So you pick up a year later with Daniel, and he's in a really bad relationship, and then he meets this girl named Six, and it says a girl with a strange name and an even stranger personality. Unfortunately for Daniel, finding true love doesn't guarantee a happily ever after. It only further threatens it. With an unbearable secret from the past jeopardize Daniel and Six's only chance at saving each other. So, don't you really want to read it? Don't you really want to read it? Especially if you've read Hopeless and Losing Hope, you have a little bit more of an insight as to what this is. But Finding Cinderella, absolutely incredible. Coho, 5 stars. The next book I read was The Air by Sophie Lark. I have the regular cover, and then if you don't like men on the cover, there's a discreet cover. That's right. Discreet covers for those of you who actually read in public. What's it like to be out in public? I'd love to know. Let me know what it's like to have to read in public, because I don't leave my house. But I did read The Air. This was my first Mafia book, and I think it's a really good introduction into this kind of world. It's really light Mafia, I guess you would consider it. I didn't think it was that dark. Okay, so the Heir. The Heir. So the Heir is basically, this follows Leo, Anna, not Anna, because I thought that for a while. It's Anna. Leo and Anna are best friends, and then it also follows a guy named Dean. Dean is in a rival mafia family from Leo, and they're all going to be going to school together at this school called Kingmakers. So this is the first book in the Kingmakers series. The Kingmakers school is basically like Hogwarts for mafia children. So there are 4 groups of people in the Kingmakers school. There is the heirs, the spies, the accountants, and the enforcers. So Leo, Anna, and Dean are all heirs. And so this follows their first year at school. You get all 3 POVs, which I loved going back and forth between all their POVs. It was a really cool, because you get Leo and Anna who hate Dean, and then you get Dean's side as well. There is a playlist. And there is also times in the book where it tells you the song that is like playing within the story. So it's the song, one of the songs that are on the playlist, and then you can, so what I do is I would like pause here and start the song and kind of read while I was listening to the song, which was really cool. It was really immersive. But this follows their first year at Kingmakers. It is absolutely insane. So I'm just going to read you the back now that I've kind of explained everything, because I don't want to give you too much away. There's so many twists and turns in this book. This book kept me on my toes like crazy. But it says, I'd go anywhere for her. This is from Leo. I'd go anywhere for her, even to Kingmakers, the most brutal college in the world, where mafia heirs are trained to control, dominate, infiltrate, and kill. I followed Anna because she's my best friend. I've always been right by her side. She needs me to protect her, especially from Dean Yenin, a bravado heir with a lethal grudge. He plans to take everything from me, starting with Anna. What? Oh my god. This book, 5 stars, absolutely. My first Sophie Lark book. I absolutely loved this. Loved it. I can't wait to read more Sophie Lark books, and I know I've talked about this for like the past 3 videos, but I'm just really, really excited about reading more of this world. There is the Brutal Birthright series, which is some of the parents of the kids that are in Kingmakers you meet in the Brutal Birthright series. So you kind of get their story continuing just a little bit here. I personally started with the Heir. You could definitely start with the Brutal Birthright. From what I've heard, it is really like Mafia too, and it's really a great place to start with Mafia books. Next, I listened to The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams on audiobook. I really, really enjoyed this book. If you've never listened to or read a Sarah Adams book, she does closed door romance, which means that there's no on-page spicy scenes. This is about Nathan and Bree. They are best friends. They have been best friends since high school, and they're both secretly in love with each other. Who would have thought it? So this is Very Friends to Lovers. He is a professional football player for the Sharks, and she owns a dance studio. This book was so cute. Very rom-com. It is dual POV, and I gave it 4 stars. The only reason it got, 4.25. 4.25, I think, was my final rating. The only reason I got 4.25 was there was some lines that I thought were just a little cheesy, but that's kind of what you get with a rom-com. I don't read as many of these like closed door romance books, but Sarah Adams is one of the best at it. This is my 3rd Sarah Adams book, and I've really liked all of them. They've all gotten at least 4 stars from me. So she's an incredible author to check out if that's the kind of thing you like and you don't like smut in your books. She still gives an incredible romance, an incredible story, and you really get invested in her characters. Nate gave me very Nathan from One Tree Hill vibes, which I loved. It had some really good tropes and it was really, really cute. I did just pre-order a like special edition paperback of it. I will leave that link below where you can pre-order the special edition of this book, because that's how much I liked it. Is I read it on audiobook and I wanted a hard copy of it. And then I read, y'all, I know I've gone on and on about this and about this in my past 3 videos. Do you see how many tabs are in this book? Do you see? I adored this book. This is probably one of my top 5 books that I've ever read in my life. Possibly top 3 books I've ever read in my life. This is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. This follows Rowan and Zara. Rowan's grandfather created this amusement park called Dreamland, which is basically like Disneyland, Disney World. At the beginning of the book, you find out that Rowan's grandfather has passed away, and he has sent all of his grandsons, there's 3 of them, hint, the series. He sent them all letters of tasks that they have to complete to be able to inherit their portion, like, of his like money and stuff like that. So Rowan has to go and be like the coordinator for Dreamland for 6 months. There he meets Zara. Zara is bubbly. She works for basically like Bippity Boppity Boo at Disney World. That's where she works. She like makes little kids and turns them into a princess. So she is Armenian, which we love. Lauren has so much diversity in her books, and I absolutely love that about them. She is Armenian, but one night she submits a drunk proposal to what should be changed within the park, and Rowan is very intrigued. So she actually lands her dream job. So this is very workplace romance. This is forced proximity. This is enemies to lovers. This is grumpy sunshine. Every trope that we all love is in this book. Like billionaire romance, it's so many good tropes, and it's done so well. I was so invested in their story. The conflict was good. It had me on my toes. I was feeling all the feels. I don't know if like just how immersive it was for me is because I've loved Disney. I've been to Disney a lot, and I could, like, when they're in the park and when they're in Dreamland, I can visualize like where they are because I'm visualizing them in Disney World. And it was the epilogue for this book. Holy crap, y'all. The epilogue. This is the way an epilogue needs to be done, y'all. Also, I love when a title of a book is mentioned in the book, and that happened with the cheat sheet, that happened with the fine print, that obviously happened with the Heir because they are the heirs. But I love that, and this got 5 stars. 5 stars with 600 exclamation points, 10 stars, whatever the highest thing I can give this book, that's what it got. If you pick up anything that I've told you to read ever on this channel, it should be 1, 2, and anything by Colleen Hoover. That's what you need to do. But y'all, just go buy the fine print. Just go do it right now. Well, after this video, and then go buy the fine print. Next, we're gonna talk about one. This is the cheat sheet. I am actually currently about 50% through this book, and I don't know how I feel about it right now. If anybody has read this and liked it or hated it or anything, let me know your thoughts on this book, because right now I'm on the border of DNFing it, which makes me really sad. I hate DNFing books. The timeline of this jumps all over the place, and it's really confusing for me. And I think that's the hardest thing for me to get through this. I hate DNFing books, but I'm really thinking that that's what's going to happen with this one. I just need somebody to tell me to keep reading this book, that it's incredible, because I'm struggling right now. One thing that I think that this book is making me feel like it does jump around a lot timeline wise, but it's also like the main character is telling us about something that has happened previously instead of us like living it with them while it's happening. And that's where I think it gets really confusing and the timeline jumps around a lot. So I don't know. Have you read this? Was it good? Should I continue? I've literally have half of it left. I have like 160 pages left. I just don't know. Next, we're going to talk about Love and Bloom by Jenny Proctor. I was fortunate enough to receive this book as an ARC right before it came out. This was my first Jenny Proctor book, and I absolutely loved this book. It is also a closed-door romance. If you love Sarah Adams, go read a Jenny Proctor book, because they're very much like, they give me the same feels, very similar authors in like the best ways. I'm definitely going to be picking up the rest of the series. I actually bought this physical copy. I actually bought 2 physical copies and actually did a giveaway with one. This follows Cameron and Darcy. They are both tour guides in Charleston, South Carolina, which I love because I'm in South Carolina. I love Charleston, so this is really cool. There's a lot of like history in this book, so if you like history, I think you would love this. If you love Charleston and have ever visited, I think you would love this. It's just a really cool kind of insight into Charleston. That's where Jenny is living now. But they are rival tour guides. This is enemies to lovers. This is kind of forced proximity because they're forced to see each other while they're working. Rom-com, like I said, it's closed-door romance. So it says, hating Cameron Hunter shouldn't be this easy. I'm basically a golden retriever puppy. I love everyone and want everyone to love me. But Cameron is a singular exception to my love everyone rule. And the hatred goes both ways. First of all, he's one of those guys that kind of look like he belongs on the cover of Yacht Club Weekly. Second of all, he's way too good at his job. The man is a walking Wikipedia. His walking tours for historic downtown Charleston stay booked weeks in advance. Did I mention I run tours along the same route? When we're both up for a magazine feature that could kick our respective careers to the next level, our rivalry turns into a heated competition. Then we unexpectedly kiss. It's a long story. And things get really complicated. Now my blood is boiling over Cameron for an entirely different reason. Only one of us can win. Can I trust a man who used to be my enemy, or is everything, even our relationship, just part of his plan to take me down? Don't you just really want to read this book? I think you should. I loved this. I gave it 4.5 stars. The only reason it didn't get 5 stars is I wanted a little bit more from the epilogue. It just didn't quite give me exactly what I wanted. It was very funny, but I wanted a little bit more like love and to see where they were. Love and Bloom by Jenny Proctor. This book was fantastic. Next, I read Priest. Do not read this book if you're under 18. Do not do it. This book was spicy, very spicy. This is, oh my god. Y'all, oh my god. This is about Poppy and Tyler. Tyler is a priest. The back of this book says, this is really the only information I'm going to give you about this. But it says, there are many rules a priest can't break. A priest cannot marry. A priest cannot abandon his flock. A priest cannot forsake his God. I've always been good at following rules, until she came, and I learned the new rules. My name is Tyler Aslam Bell. I am 29 years old. 6 months ago, I broke my vow of celibacy on the altar of my own church. And God help me, I would do it again. I am a priest, and this is my confession. Priest. This does follow Tyler's point of view, which I think is really, really interesting, because most romance either are dual POV, third person, or just the girl's point of view. You hardly ever see just the guy's point of view in a book, it was really, really, really interesting for me to read. The only time that you get a little bit of Poppy's point of view, but it's not Poppy's point of view, is like the first couple times she goes to do confessional. You get this like different text. So like you get this different, you can see here, you get this different font of text, and this is just a really long like section of her talking, And instead of having the entire thing in quotations and having things break it up, she did it to where this is just Poppy talking, and you could just read it continuously, which I really, really liked. The fact that, because this is like 8 pages of Poppy talking, and it would be really hard to do that in any other way when you don't have their point of view, because it's basically like this long monologue of her talking, and that's a really cool way for you to understand who's talking without you getting confused. So I really enjoyed that part. I understand if you don't want to read this. This is a very specific kind of audience that will read this book. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I wish that there's a little more conflict, the big resolution conflict in the story, like conflict to the resolution in the story. I wish there was just a little bit more to the conflict. It was also very insta-lovey, which I usually am not a huge fan of. And there's another book that I'm about to talk about that basically same reason I gave it 4 stars. But Priest was really good. This is my first Sierra Simone book. I'm definitely picking up the other 2 in this series and will continue it. If this sounds like something you would like, definitely pick it up. Like I said, it is very, very spicy. I think I would definitely consider it an erotica, but I did really enjoy it. If the lighting has changed throughout this video, I'm really sorry. The sun's setting. It is like 6:15 and I'm trying to film a video. My husband's on nights right now, which makes it really hard because he sleeps in. So I can't film during like peak sun hours. And I use natural light. The last book that I read was an ARC that I actually received. It was Sweet by Adriana Locke. This is the 6th book in the Laundry Family series. In my opinion, just the reading this is my first book that I've read in this series. I suggest going back to the beginning if this sounds like something that you're interested in, and reading them from the beginning, because I feel like there was a lot of cameos that you would really appreciate if you read all the books. This is about Nate and Paige. He is her boss, and they've always kind of had a thing for each other secretly. This is workplace romance, single dad, close proximity, and he's a grumpy hero. Those are the kind of the tropes for the book. This was my first book from her. I will definitely be picking up some more. This did have spice. It was some really good spice, actually. Like I said, he is a single dad. He has a son. I think he's 8, somewhere around in that age. His name is Ryder. He is freaking adorable, like the cutest kid I've ever read in a book. My Discord's going crazy. Absolutely freaking adorable. I loved Ryder. He brought so much to the book and the story and their relationship. I really thought that this was a single dad trope done really well. I would definitely check trigger warnings for this book, because Nate and Paige both have like a really bad past, and they talk about it in depth in a couple scenes. So I think that trigger warnings you should definitely look up. I don't want to tell you what the trigger warnings are, because some of it could be considered a spoiler for a book. This I gave 4.5 stars. I wanted a little bit more of a conflict. It was kind of more of a misunderstanding that could have just been dealt with if there was communication instead of an actual conflict. So that's why it got 4.5. It is kind of insta-lovey as well. It's a book that I definitely think you should check out. Like I said, I would start at the beginning of this series. Like Love and Bloom is the 4th book in this series, but I really think there's, as far as I know, only like 1 cameo that you would kind of appreciate. And that's for the book before this. I'm really excited to go read that book, because I am really interested in reading that story. So these are most of the books that I read this month. Like I said, I had a really good reading month as far as books that I loved. But like I said, I did put this down. I think I'm just gonna kind of put it to the side right now, and maybe I'll get the urge to pick it up later. But I'm really excited about all these books. You should definitely check them out. And if y'all check any of them out, and then love them, make sure to tag me on Instagram or anything if you talk about it. I love seeing when y'all pick up books that I recommend to you. All these books will be linked below, along with this sweatshirt. This is my Backstitch Burton Mickey and Pals sweatshirt. Look at this freaking thing. Is it not the cutest thing ever? It's got Donald and Minnie and Mickey and Goofy on it. If you did not know, Backstitch Burton is owned by one of my best friends, Emily. She is fantastic. She also made this booked up tote bag so that I can go book shopping. So I plan on taking this to my next Barnes and Noble trip. And then this last one that I'm going to talk about is going to be an It Ends With Us sweatshirt. It does have kind of a little spoiler, so I am not going, so if you want to click out of the video here, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. But I did want to show off this sweatshirt. She's going to be adding this sweatshirt to her shop on March the 19th. March 19th. I'm so excited about it. And y'all can use code Kristen Owens to save you some money. It's not an affiliate link. It's just a way for you guys to save a little bit of money. But like I said, click off if you have not read It Ends With Us and do not want a spoiler for this book. So it is this beautiful like dark navy. This says Bib's Restaurant, Chef Atlas Corrigan, just right here on this like chest, and then the sleeve says Better in Boston. I am obsessed with this freaking shirt. I got her to make one for Paige for Christmas, and then she had a couple orders for him, so she's adding it to the shop with some other Colleen Hoover inspired items. I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite sweatshirts. I cannot wait to wear it. I just got it in the mail. I'm so excited about this. Y'all should definitely check out Backstitch Burton. She is incredible. She hand embroiders all of this. She does all this by hand, which is freaking insane. She is so talented. But I will link her down below. I will link her Instagram, her shop, her YouTube, so go subscribe to her YouTube channel too and tell her I sent you, and make sure to use my code, like I said, it's Kristen Owens, to save you some money from Backstitch Burton. That was all of the books that I read in February. I'm hoping to be able to get through more books this month. I think that the fact that the air was, he a thick boy, so I think that maybe could have been a little bit of the why, but I read that book pretty fast, so I think this kind of put a damper on my reading. Thank you so much for watching today. If you have not already subscribed, subscribe down below. It's free. All you have to do is click it, and then you'll be notified when I upload a video, especially if you hit that little bell notification and you click all. You'll be notified every time I upload a video, as long as YouTube does its job. Also, do you like my new bedding? I just picked this up at Target, and I love the like sage green color. It's very spring, and I'm obsessed with it. I am so ADD and all over the place. But make sure to go follow me on Instagram so that you can keep up with what I'm currently reading while I talk about it on my stories. Also, I did my very first Instagram live the other day, and it was so much fun. So y'all make sure to go follow me on Instagram. And I kind of have a fun idea that I think I'm going to do at the end of the month on Instagram Live. So there will be at least a couple days, maybe a week warning before that happens. So I'm excited about that. I will see you guys next time. Bye.